I bet it's
Is
great.
it bowling alley?
I bet it's great. Yeah.
Evening, everyone.
Hey, Mayor. How
Good
you doing?
evening.
How y'all doing?
All right.
Good evening.
How long you been in office, young man?
2 months.
And you didn't have a liquor gray hair on your head.
Got it coming.
I got to say that. I had to get rid of that. They have something you can put color now, I think, but
I'm trying to fall out, see, so I'm gonna leave it alone. I like it the way it is.
this way. They ready to start? Yeah. Go. All right, yeah, guys. All right, so calling the Nottoway County Board of Supervisors work session on March 9th, 6:30 p.m. We are in an emergency operations center, and I appreciate everybody getting everything set up and Mr. Costin. I'm getting ready to do the invocation. Anybody got somebody they want to pray for in particular? Everybody. Yeah, I agree with that. Let's go to the Lord. Father, we again thank you for this time we come together. We do thankful for people, men and women, and armed services and uniform. Every day put that and they put their life in front of us and for our safety. Father, I do lift up Ellen Nye. I know that she's getting a retirement for her family. I know that's going to be a different a role for her as well. And Lord, we just know that she has been a great servant for the county, and we've been very thankful. And then we just ask your presence, we ask for your leadership, and most of all your wisdom. And we ask all these things in Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior. Amen.
Amen.
Give honor to God. Let's give honor to our country, please. I'm standing. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you. And for some of the people, I do want to recognize that we have Kathy Kingery over here, this president, as well as Mayor Steve Green. We thank y'all for coming too. I'm thinking about trying to maybe take a short recess, maybe after an hour, just to get some water. I mean, anybody wants to, go to the restroom, and if there's some kind of questions or something anybody wants to ask us, and we'll see if we can clarification. So, and Mr. Hyde, thank you as well. Andrea is over there taking minutes, and I appreciate her too as well.
You're welcome. Both doors are up at the top of the steps open.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Both bathrooms, lights on.
Okay, thank you so much. All right, let's roll our sleeves up here and get back into business. I want to if you look at the agenda, I want to approve the agenda, and if anybody's got any amendments or something they want to add, or we can put it down now or something for clarification, we can add anything. So,
Move to approve, Chair.
okay, got a motion approved. Can I get a second?
Second.
I got a proper second. Any further discussion? All in favor here, none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. What we left off, Mr. Costin, I think, was we were going through the list of 50s. He's put that in front of us. Mr. Costin and I had, and I'm going to turn it over to you, give Mr. Costin a few minutes. And we had a discussion, and I had some discussion with Ms. Shackleton as well to say, how can we reduce this? Steve Bond can't have sold 50 some items, so I'm sure Ted Costin can't have sold it as well. So we looked at maybe taking it and reducing it, as well as we're talking about maybe, putting stuff like the back a little bit that's completed and green, and I appreciate that. And sometimes we make it, I'm just giving you an example, if we could talk about maybe having like the animal shelter, building new animal shelter is a task. Other items might go with that, the process, ordinances, things like that. That's just a top example that I just thought off the top of my head, but we want to get this, my goal, and I hope it's the goal of the board, is if we can take this list and make it tangible or reachable goals. There's no use putting 60 things out there and then we get hung up and then get into distractions and we can't get things complete. So that was the goal of that. So I left that with Mr. Costin. I think he did some homework and ran about it a little bit late last night, some of his ideas. So with that, would you lead us on that and take it over?
And of course, it's not written in stone. We can move things around as you all would like to. I do. The chairman has pointed out what the staff believes to be completed items are all at the back. And those were items 42 through 57. Okay. That having been said, we rearranged it as, in categories: administration, facilities, emergency management, so on and so forth, as we get through it. But, we also, in rearranging it, we also rearranged some items. The ones that we did not review begin with item 9 on the second page, which, is the boundary line adjustment because it rolls into the water issues. You can see the updated status. And then actually everything on that page, well, almost on that page, items 9, 10, 11, and 12 are items that we did not get to last week.
I would like to do some, because everybody just speak up. One thing that changed since the last work session we had, there was, I think I got a sense from the board that, Blackstone had approached us about surplus property, which is pretty much a boundary line, it could be a boundary line. We haven't got there. First step is to get the school to actually surplus the property. So that's still something that we got to put somewhere here as a unit. I don't know where it belongs right now, but I just want to throw that out there and continue discussing.
All right, I'll just give you all a few minutes. If you all want to read through 9, 10, 11, and 12. But I'm thinking of that to add to Blackstone school buildings. And unless there's some objections, I'll move on. The next item was 15 and 16. Page 3. Now, building courthouse repairs, these are the ones that are located in pictures of the bad railings, disconnected downspouts, all these things of painting.
What locations painting from? Scott, do you know?
Pretty
Everything. Okay.
pretty much.
Okay. So outside post ceilings and all that kind of stuff.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And then the building energy audit, and I'll report on it in my staff report next week. We've moved pretty much to duct cleaning right now.
Okay.
That in punch list items. We do have an issue with the amount of water that's getting to one of the pumps under the building. And there's a sinkhole that's developed up to the front. That would be broken water pipe. That's being worked next week. All right. The next group that not get to 21, 22, at the bottom of page 3, that's establishing the LEPC. And the G911.
Okay.
Okay. Big jump to 36.
Those very white lines.
36, general administration for agencies. And that is something that Mr. talked to you all about, trying to modernize and update this. Just general administration issues there. A little bit better enforcement on some of these terms in compliance. And then 37, again, that's the same thing. We brought you all fairly significant list. And we would still like to do LRA meeting for the renaming ceremony. That would be possible. To do a tour out there.
Yeah, what time? No, we'll talk about that later. Okay.
38 LRA staffing. We've got a maintenance position that Steve did acquire the Hill leaving, and we're proceeding to fill that. But there always need for some additional labor force out there. 39, next page, page 6. And 40 and 41 are all infill items, I would say are items that can be covered in the solid waste study.
So I know that's not on the solid waste study. What,
That's what we're doing next week, that you all to adopt. Some of those questions have been posed to the attorney and
Okay.
from them that addresses everything.
okay. Yeah, that's for the RFP, right?
That's the response to the RFP.
Yeah.
Which is now become a contract, waiting for you all to adopt and with the project, which will cover a lot of this.
When are we gonna get the answers for those? Because if there's any rebuttal, I like that time to have rebuttal before we put on the whole resolution. If Ms. Shepherd has asked a question, when are we
You sent it to me, did you send it to me?
It's going to be in the packet. It's going to be.
Yeah, in the packet.
Yeah, so it'll be in the packet, so you'll have about a week to review. But if you have any questions, please let me know. Because I can try and get those answered for
I got
you.
Yeah, okay, and I hear what you're saying, Mr. Roy. What we need to do is take a real close look at that and see if that's the vision that we're having of the information we need and are looking for. I got you.
Okay, now, are you concerned about contract? That's going to give you the study, that's going to give you.
That'd be the second step, wouldn't
Yeah,
Okay.
if you get through the contract, the way the contract's laid out, you're going to get one study, which is phase 1.
Right.
That will kind of give you 4 or 5 different options on what to do with the landfill. Not just the landfill, solid waste operation.
all we have included, right?
All 3 TOs are included, yes, they're the full operation, okay? And then, once you have that, then you'll have the engineers who pick their brains. Then you all will have to decide which, any of those, you want to explore further. And that would be the phase 2 study.
Okay, but I was concerned about the questions she had asked right now.
The contract to last month, but I have some questions about the contract. Questions. Will you present the breakdown of the answers in the packet?
Yes. I have a cover memo and the response memo. It's already in the packet.
Okay, good.
And then just again, go back to some of the completed projects. Some of those completed projects were things that were added during the course of the, were not in the original document that Mr. Angelina, for example, redistricting was not the Burkeville branch library, 55. A lot of those were not in the list.
Okay, so, and just one example for 46, and Kelly back. So she manages the FOIA,
Yes.
That's to make sure we also take our training, and if any questions come in.
Yes,
Got it. So somebody signed for that continues, so it's completed in the sense that it's gonna continue, we know that, but it just has to be managed.
We've got somebody who's trained up, knows what, knows what to do, stays on top of it. And it's going to be a routine, no different than somebody coming in and
So, like, all right, let's talk about it. I want to take too much time on this, but like the website upgrade, okay? So the website's upgraded, but if we want changes, we gotta let y'all know what we need, and then Susan will make that change. Like, if we form the EDC, let's use that for example. Somebody becomes chairman, vice chairman, and you say the 3 mayors on there, we can add that on to that website to show them and then have the minutes of that. Okay.
we update that website fairly regularly. We get informational brochures from SVCC, Health Department, from other state agencies about the events that they've got going on.
Right.
We posted a lot this week with the tornado. We can post that website, almost, we could refresh it almost daily if we have the information.
Well, I guess I'm bringing up, I need some help from the board and staff as well, but sometimes I'll forget to ask to do you know what I mean? It's like, I think sometimes it's automatic, like with the EDC, but it may not be. We don't promise with them. Anyway, it's not usually present in these meetings.
Understood.
Anyway. All right, thank you. That's, any questions on that? All right, well, you got anything else?
Unless you all have questions on this, or you want to add projects? or
Well, let's-
what the projects are, or-
Well, let's follow the agenda if we could, hold that. This is, if you would, we need to bring that's a living document, I need to bring it back with you, so we have a work session to it. And, because I think there might be some still some things that may be added or can be combined or whatever, we can look at that or something, okay? Because we got, other stuff just came up and anyway, that's the way government runs, so put that off the side, we can go back and visit that today. Okay. The next on the agenda is our ARPA funds. I asked the question, how much? I like for us to have an open discussion about that. What do we want to hit? Here's what I think we all agree on. Do we want to get the money back, Sam, or do we want to try to spend it in the county? I think we all agree on that. All right, now we got to figure out how we're going to do it. Anyway, yeah, you go through it a little bit, Ms. Casa, just to.
Well, round one of, you got a handout for it. You got a round one of ARPA money, which you committed 1.1 million out of $1,479,318.50. It's contracted for broadband. So that gives you a little bit of play with about $379,318.50. Now, the contract is for a certain rate of penetration. And if the penetration rate, that's the number of customers, we don't reach that number of customers, we have to pay the difference. So what I'm suggesting is hold back that 379, 318 to last possible moment. Have some projects, in the projects list, you'll see it in round two, that if we don't make the penetration rate, we can dip into that 379, 318 and take care of it. Okay? So you have the number on how much we've paid so far.
And let me try to understand, that's the first round of one.
That's the first rate. Yes, sir.
We committed to broadband,
1.1.
1.1. Make that. So you're saying leave that for what's that?
Okay, so the rest, the extra amount,
Right.
the extra amount, leave that in case the penetration rate is not met. The penetration rate is, let's say you're going down a mile and there are 10 houses. If you don't get 6 of those houses, you have to make up the difference. If they say they get 5 houses, we have to make up the difference for the 1 house.
Okay, with broadband.
With broadband.
This is round one, distribution.
Right.
What we actually offer, what's remaining. This is what's been spent from round one for broadband.
Okay.
The third page is the second total distribution.
Okay.
It's been obligated from that for broadband.
Okay.
For actual expenditures. Of course, broadband, second round, that's.
Okay. So, this covers, breakdown.
Everybody has a copy.
So I get the 1.4 million, round one, 1.3 broadband. And that's the difference of the, just 179.
So I did this based on what you all had actually early on, which was the 1.3. What Ted has on that list right there is what's been contracted.
I see, and that's 379.
That would be the same as action.
All right, so that 379 is what I would say is hold it back in case the penetration rate is not met. Cover the difference out of this 379,318.50. Okay. But at the same time, I would encourage the board to have some projects that we could do very quickly by swimming down to something that.
Right.
Know that out.
And let me back up. I apologize. I should have said it. The reason I want this information, bring this back with you Monday during the budget meeting. Because we had some requests, we may can dip out of this and utilize this fund. That's equipment, that's the whole purpose. And I know you, when he gets to talking around too, we say for future consideration, there was some requests for future consideration that was brought to attention on other budget meeting that that's not on, that's the biggest problem, in my eyes. And we'll figure that together. All right.
Okay,
Yeah.
so moving to round two. Round two, you got another blank background. Of that, 1,006,168.50 is also added to broadband. This was the phase two, broadband phase one, broadband phase two. And it's cheaper because the basic engineering is done for phase one, and phase two is more, the actual work, stuff going on. You've already spent $200,000 for the tanker for the crew on the fire department. You've given $10,000 to Burkeville for the water line extension to help serve the animal shelter. This came in under budget. We had 20,000, not quite 12, but 11 for the handicap ramp at the office of the Commissioner of Revenue. I'm sorry, there's the broadband expansion, is there, and then the remaining. So you've got for future consideration the Public Safety Training Center, a handicap ramp for this building and this entrance here. One of the projects I think is something you were referring to, Mr. Chairman, is relocating registrar's office to the county complex. You've also gotten some requests from steps. And I'm thinking one other that you might be thinking of is the concessions.
Such that much coming and also the water lines. Well, it's water. I think it's water and sewer. So that's
And then the library.
in the crew library. Excuse me. I mean, but that's the stuff that just came up. But anyway, so we'll talk about it. We don't have to. We'll write that down. You know, y'all, if you want to make some notes. But so. Did they got the crew tanker yet? Okay. Yeah, they got the check. Okay. And Burkeville got their check for the water line.
Excuse me for just a minute. Mr. Hyde, do you remember the chief say that the tanker was probably going to be in about 3 months?
Yeah, no, it's here.
It's here.
It's here. It's in Richmond, I think, getting some equipment on there.
So it's not here, but it's
Right,
closer.
it's been, I think it's been back and forth.
Okay.
So it's within, distance. I think, I asked, Chief Chanel, he said by April we'll be in service, running call. So we're only looking at 4 weeks.
Yeah, I saw some, and I don't want to get us off track. I saw something pretty interesting because Sussex County did. Let's see, what is it? Little Stony Creek. But anyway, people giving them emergency slides, old emergency slides, for them to cranes because they're going through them so fast. You know, they go try to rescue somebody and they get blown up when they get back. It's unbelievable. But anyway, it was a nice little, I think it's called Wayne's World on Channel 6.
Okay.
It was pretty interesting. Y'all need to look that up. It was pretty interesting. I'm not saying to do that, but I thought for our neighbors, that was a good program to get into. Can I back up again? So looking at that, like, public safety things, I'm not trying to do it.
Mr. Hyde, you want to speak
Can
now?
I speak to this?
Yeah, that's fine. I just
Yeah, this is something we really feel, all feel pretty passionate about it. It's the grant funded burn building, as some people call it. And we're trying to get away from the word burn building. We think it's best for the county. I really do. I believe we call it Public Safety Training Center. It's much more than a building there. And the building that we're speaking of that needs repair is the one Commonwealth of Virginia had 2 grants back in 2005. Some of you may have been in the ribbon cut, and I was there. It was $775,000 the state gave it. and it's one of the biggest in the Commonwealth outside of Metro Region. So it's really deteriorated a lot, and so the consultants were looking at, last quote was $160,000 to fix everything on the building. There's a lot of high-tech, components in it, and there's handrails that were coming off, and there's some roof components, some other components that need repair and paint and pressure washing. So $160,000 back in 2016, I believe. I'll get the quote in my office. So what Mr. Constant and I looked at is, today's figures is going to be at least 2. I think safe to say it's been 5, 6, 7 years ago.
How quick do you think they could spend that money? Because like, we get back to that $379,000 is left on the first round. How quick do you think they could spend within 6 months?
When the contractor fixing the homes, I'd say within 12, but probably within 10.
Okay.
Because there's an engineer coming out this year to do a 5-year inspection. He's going to whittle it down and let us know exactly what it needs. And the state's behind this too, because they have requirements for us to apply with when you use that building. So a lot of this compliance issues, they can use it, but they can't use it to 100%. It's diminished. I think it's still available to be written about. Like Dinwiddie was borrowing it, but they're not interested anymore. They'll go to the court. And I don't think Prince Edward rents it anymore either. I think they have diminished their use from outside. But the ones in the county are behind us in our group. When we're meeting here in our group, and everybody says, we need to do something with it. And I've talked to Sheriff Jones. I believe that we should expand it to police use. And that's why, hence the word public safety training zone. It's a win-win for all agencies. It really is. It's a beautiful facility. It has a drafting pond already there. Just take this look. Mecklenburg County is looking at building a pond, in their facility. We already have one. So we already have a lot of components in the training zone that just need to be cleaned up, the bathrooms need to be renovated, things like that.
But there would be some additional upgrades to the site, not just the building. Shops.
Absolutely. With the decon, cancer prevention, they do a burn there with the room and do it with decon. So cuts down on the cancer from the neck and arms and things. But all of that can be done. Bathrooms, I think the reporters are on, and they're paying all for the calendar. I think that's could be a waste of money there.
If all the fire departments, all the departments utilize, I gotta keep going back to the burn building. I can't get stuck anyway, but I know you're trying to get away from it. We charge them for that?
They have charged like, I think it was $250. I think,
Of the use of it.
yeah, like,
So where does that funds go to?
it used to go into the association's fund, and that fund has been dissolved, and we took the money, and the Citizens Bank Trust actually helped us put it into a line item in Blackstone Fire Department's budget. That's the holding place for it right now.
So it's held in some budget.
It's held in Blackstone's Fire Department, under a line item in this, training center.
You get this thing back up and going. They go out there to train, or they do decide to rent back out. They go out there and go to the shower. They would go to Blackstone, have a meal, go out there.
Look, you can always,
Yeah, go home, have a meal.
so you make my head and go, all right, I want to go back to holding this money. Penetration rate. Excuse me, I'm taking over here. You never got any questions, I mean, but I get some of my brain, I can't get it out. How long, so we gotta hold this money, I know this is by broadband, because we may have to do what now, say that to me again?
Okay.
I it was thinking,
All right, yeah, because you're not, all right, so.
no, we don't. We don't think so.
I say we think the same way.
But you did this.
When I say we here, I'm gonna blame this kind of stuff. All right, so you got a review, okay?
Okay.
And if you cannot go down to a road and complete enough lines, okay, and you fall short on that completion, you may need some funds to go ahead and have these funds. In other words, you're trying to.
But I thought they gave us a price to cover that though.
But there's that are more heavily covered, easily and more accessible.
All right.
For, this is a hard concept for folks to understand. Some people might not want
Okay,
One,
so,
they come up short on,
so what I don't wanna do is, I don't want a situation where the company that's, they can pay for this. They go, you know what, you're not gonna believe it, but we actually short $350,000. You see what I'm saying? Cause they know what we have. We, you know, the contractor's hungry if they know what you got.
And this money is actually gotta be spent by 25, correct?
Has to be obligated by 24, and it's paid by 26.
look at the bottom
See,
there.
see, there ain't much time, John.
Well, that's the reason why I was asking, you know, how quick they can do that.
Oh.
We're talking about this 379, if you're looking for another project, how quick can they get that done? You know, if you allocate it, then they can actually get,
So committed fund to that, so the first set is 2024. So when are we gonna know something? The penetration piece.
Well, go to your big sheet here, the broadband, the engineers ongoing, they've seen a couple hub sites, this is item number 6, project. We've actually offered some property, but they've got siting specificity from the engineering. There's some other counties that they're doing the field station right now. We won't know until they start getting feedback from customers that you, I want broadband.
Going back to my point, they know we have the money. That's what kills me. In other words,
wait a minute, let me ask you, what's the difference between, all right, the 379 is going through. What's the difference between allocating that money? We still got 400 something left when it's going to spend later. What's the difference?
I mean, whether you take.
in other words, we spend it 2024, we got money.
Whether you take it, we were going.
It doesn't matter, if you take it out round one,
All right, I
you
feel
just need a little bit of cushion.
No, I get that, but I feel better what you're saying now. I thought it was like totally separate. You wouldn't, you claim, right, they claimed you got that first batch, that number saved.
When you got round one, those dates at the bottom, came with round one.
Okay.
You got round two, those dates at the
Okay.
bottom
I got you.
came with round two.
I got you. And that makes sense.
Steve, I'm for keeping it in until we know what the value is.
Yeah, I get you. Yeah, no, I agree. I just, my goal, I think, was before I go, I make sure they get things. We got to figure it out. So, I like that idea with the safety training son. I do like it. All right, well, can I clarify one more thing? It's good. So steps, $75,000. And sometimes I know people, it says, they hate it when I do this. I forget what I say, you know. So, and I have done this. It says here in parentheses, most other communities will decline what? Because request has been lowered 125. So what does that mean?
So their initial request is, was for $200,000
Okay.
from every locality that they serve.
That's what Sharon said at this table, right? Right. Okay. 200,000 on each of us.
Yes.
Okay.
And now they have lowered their request amount to $75,000. So they've lowered it by $125,000. But they're still asking for $75,000.
But
And this is, I'm sorry, to lay it all out there, this is for the homeless shelters, and this is not the sexual assault, domestic violence.
Yeah.
Talking about last.
Okay, this is for the home show. So most other communities have declined. They didn't like the 200,000.
And she's trying to do Madeline House as well.
But he said that's separate. Yeah, that's separate.
This was focused on a proposal for tiny homes park for homeless persons in the region outside of Farmville. What she came and spoke to us about last week was because of the loss of Madeline's house,
She's trying to get that.
services there. Yes, sir.
To that point, though, they thought that there was some concern that this would be awful expensive.
One time.
I do. And I think that, considering that, you know, we are a poverty-stricken county here, I don't see no reason why we don't support that.
Okay. All right. So now, then, what you're saying, if you don't support it, you're talking about 75.
And here's
Would
the
you
other
make
thing.
that contingent on the other counties, John?
Well, if they don't get enough to do it, they would come back and bring it back. So if they can't do the project. then
Oh, I see
they'll
it.
turn-
Not everybody keeps in 75, then there is no project.
They're going to the state for the continued repairs and maintenance and stuff, so this is a one-time thing. I mean, I gotta say, that's a concern. We may not see them under the bridges around, we can, but there's, and I've heard it.
I'm not questioning need. I just wanna know what the other counties are gonna do.
Yeah, I don't think we're on the hook for it, as I understand. I think that it's an expression that, hey, we're willing to do this if y'all can get the project done. I think that's all it is right now.
Did she ask for a certain amount for the funding of the Madeline House? She wanted the budget. It's kind of good.
And that's for specific funding, just come back. Successful.
And and I would ask the board if y'all wouldn't mind, if y'all would just line through that Cox Road water line, let's just lay that to bed and not talk about it anymore. But if the water is, willing to do that. So, that's right, just put it out your brain. I don't want to get tied, bogged down and good job on that. All right, hey, good report. So if y'all could make sure we bring that with us, with the budget meeting, I guess, that Monday.
That's 4 o'clock.
No.
It's 7.
Seven. I said seven.
Would you get it, Paul?
All right.
Mr. Chairman. All right, I heard Ed, and I think at one time the crew library on the list. Do you want to add that back? You get a price tag on that?
Yeah, yeah, so what I would like for us to do is to make sure we look, and I hope the board members town house, which they have, but we give a little bit, not a little bit, whatever they need for all 3 towns. And I feel like, just looking at it, I see that Burkwood has something, and then they've got a sewer line as well for the camera shelter, and then the crew tanker, the fire department is separate, right? So it's separate. It's not, I don't say the crew tanker, but they got.
The towns are separate.
Yeah.
They have a different charter than we have. They're separate.
I
And they raise taxes and to carry out what they're supposed to do.
I think that the library roof was like 75,000.
Mhm.
Oh,
150.
everything costs. Yeah, I get this, we put it on that consideration. All right, yeah, so what I think is the sewer,
Do you want me to reach out to Scudder and get a ballpark figure on the total project, or 50% of the project, or?
Well, if we just get a price on the total, we can.
yeah, so they get a price of crew. We've already heard from Blackstone about the scoreboard. And then I think, and I think, Costin, y'all kept turning around, Burkle, they had to do the sewer line, they went to another contractor, it was on it, but it was like 55,000 for that. To get that's not even get the sewer and water, that's to do the design, right? They had to get DDOT permits and that kind of thing. The engineering of the sewer line, because I think you had to, because it's done. Correct me if I'm wrong, John, and y'all, isn't it something that they had to put something in because dog feces is different than human feces, right? So it's more to it than what we think it is.
Separate from hair, all that stuff.
Right.
So you want a total on the Brookfield water in sewer line?
What was it for the, I'm saying for the installation, I'm just saying for the design.
Like total design?
We decided at the meeting and 200 for the installation.
Was that what it was? I couldn't remember.
Right now.
But however now,
And for the engineering.
right, however, we have to keep in mind that, and Mr. Welch, Mayor Welch shared that with me, they have ARPA money too that they have to,
Yeah.
so what we're trying to do is, he may be able to take care of the installation of his ARPA money if we can help with the design. That's the way I understood it.
I think what the request has come in, look at it, us helping, like you said, Mr. Bourne, that's the county's animal shelters. That's the entire county.
Right.
What's going on with the library crew, that's helping the people in the center of the county be able to go and apply for jobs if they don't have internet. And then what's going on with Blackstone School Board, that program is countywide.
Yeah,
You
yeah, I
know,
get
so
you.
it's a win-win. I mean, all three towns are getting something, just helping all the citizens clearly.
Okay, I got you. Yeah, I get you. Okay. All right, bring that with you. Is there any clarification? Ms. Simmons, do you have anything that you want? Okay, but I want to say, we'll work this out. Lynn, you looking up in the sky and you got to work.
Now, it's looking forward.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going. Did you do some math in your head? Okay, I got
It's blocking that.
you. I don't blame you.
I will update those.
Yeah, that's fine. And then, I mean, I think we'll have some good budget discussions and, I think we can make numbers, maybe make numbers work. We just gotta work together to figure that out.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you for that. Okay, I appreciate that. And so bring both of those items. All right, returning back to the agenda. I think that was the purpose of that. This might take a while. So planning commission appointments. All right, so, Zoe's not even here tonight, is it? So,
Talk about public care. This
yeah, you go ahead.
This basically, we have a decision, this is something I suggested when I first got here, is this is a fairly sized planning commission for a community of this size. And I was just looking to see if there was a way to bring it down some. The easiest path would be 5, 1 from each district, 3, 1 from each channel, and the board appointed. Right now, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. You actually have an even number, which is unusual. It's usually an odd number. And you've got current vacancies sitting in districts 1, 2, and 5. So if you did not fill those vacancies, you're down to 11, which is an odd number. As people terms expire, you could move people out, just not fill the position.
In my district, District 3, Ted. 21, 23.
And until you all, that's recently ended.
Right.
Until you all decide to reappoint or not reappoint, person stays in the position.
Steve, you gonna vote next?
I do vote. I'm not sure. I always question, should I don't like to vote because really, I don't know which way the boards will go with this.
Right, and that's what I'm saying is.
And we need to work on that too. That's a process. That's a rule or something. Should I be just there to represent the board, but not have
Mr. Zodi is working on rules.
because what you're saying is, really, if I vote, I mean, really, it's go there. If we have representatives from each district, and I can vote, then that's really not fair to the other district. You see what I'm saying? So, all right. So if you had one, so let's do Steve Bowen's math again. He's got to use his fingers. So if we had one for each district, that's 5. And and who else will we have? Oh, from each.
Well, if you wanted to, you could have 1 from each channel, and you actually, it's the way it's working out right now. You have 1 from each.
Okay.
Burfield, 1 from Creek, 1 from Blackstone.
So that's 8. So to get, so this is what I'm thinking. You got to make sure you get a quorum. You understand what I'm saying? So that means, yeah, if I had 9 people, but I would be on the planning commission, but I don't have to vote.
That's right, if you're not a voting body, I don't think your presence matters as far as the quorum.
I think it's not a bad idea. You know, are y'all with me? However, but until we get there, is it hard to make a quorum? So right now, the one that really is shortchanged 2 districts, District 5 and District 2. Right? Am I saying that right?
1 1, 2, and 5.
Okay.
And 3, because
Oh, that's right, Ms. Lewis came
she
on.
just,
Well,
her term just ended.
See, that's what I struggle with Simmons. It's like you get a good one on there. It's better if they say, well, I'm done with you. Thank y'all, I enjoyed it.
She expressed an interest in staying on the committee, the planning commission.
I haven't asked her, but I'm sure she will stay on.
Matter? You know, please.
What's wrong with two each? In my case, I want to put someone from one of the towns and also.
Well,
And each of us, most of us could do that.
I think, but we haven't had problems. We, that I feel like.
It's probably one of the best areas that we have.
Oh, I agree, and a good bunch of people, but the more people you have in a meeting, I mean, the more, usually like a safety committee meeting, things that nature that I've run, is usually the magic number is 10. You get 14, 15, 16, it's
Yeah, 15.
It's hard to get.
it's hard to get a quorum. The more you got, oh, you go. Right.
You know, we've had some meetings where we didn't have.
You see, that's what I'm saying, Chairman. Sometimes we have meetings, we don't have a quorum, we don't have enough people, because you got too many planning commission.
Just a suggestion, should we go back to the individuals and ask, say, hey, guys, we're considering reduction. How do y'all want to do this? Does anybody?
I'm scared all might say, I'm done.
voluntarily come on? While you also looking at Greg in the room.
I thought about that, John. The solar the solar thing has been heavy on the planning commission. I'm just gonna tell y'all like it's heavy on us, but I know it's heavy on them because the planning commission helps cushion us a lot. You know, they bring them in there and pay this for revenue. That's the way we feel the pulse of what they want. You know, we might not always agree with it, but you know, they do a lot of the groundwork. You know. And you got them all over the district, all over the county. And to me, Mr. Bond, it's not as much as the districts, it's having qualified people with their background, you know, like Ms. Lewis is the educator.
They are selected by us. So we ought to know if we're going to select people with their qualifications.
Yes, yeah.
I'm going over Mr. Vaughn's idea. If you factor in the counts, you've got, okay, start election district. You've got Kirby Woolfoot in Jamesburg.
So district. So that's getting what he's looking for.
That's getting, and it's also giving you a town representative. Then,
Okay.
District 2, you've got Mr. Liddell Pettis. This Pettis is noted as being in the town crew. So there's 2. 3, Mr. Allen and Ms. Lewis. Mr. Perry and Mr. Williamson is 4. And then 5, you've got Mr. Jones and Mr. Carter being in Blackstone. So that gives you 10. The suggestion could be this board representative, who happens to be Mr. Bowling right now, but the board representative could be non-voting unless in case of tie. That's just a thought.
Yeah, well, yeah.
That gives you 11 members, one of whom doesn't vote unless there's a tie.
And your quorum would be 6 because you're not voting unless you got a tie.
Well, the thing about the voting with the planning commission, when they vote on something, they're not voting to pass, they're voting to recommend it to the board. So really, y'all probably need to hear, it was a 4-4, they were deadlocked. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, then that issue, we got a problem.
Yeah.
You with me? But if it's, you know, if it's 5-0, I mean, 10-0 or whatever, it's pretty much easy, you know. So what you're saying is you could do it. Leave it alone right now. We kind of accomplished it.
This is, if you leave it alone right now and you just, you basically said, this is it, we're going to have these people who they're willing to stay on, like, you know, Chris Lewis. If everybody's willing to stay on, you've got 10 and you've got 11 more.
And I recommend that we need to make some kind of, I don't know where to put it.
A little bit.
Right, but district, I think that whoever's representing board members should not be able to vote.
We could put
Okay,
it
see,
at all or as a tiebreaker.
I say it all.
I think it's really at all, because you could sway the recommendation. You know, let's say it is about solar, and you know, and I can say I really like, man, my district, District 1 people don't want it, I vote no. You know what I mean? It's like, so I didn't change the, you know, when it comes in front of.
Just a thought.
You're good at that. So
Block it at 5-5.
so it kills the motion.
Well, it doesn't pass for sure. I mean,
Right.
you know, so, but you have an applicant, and let's take solar out.
Okay.
It's a manufactured home place in a residential district.
Okay.
Or a new business or something like that, but it deadlocks at 5-5. The board member could vote to break it one way or the other, and as you said, it's just a recommendation. The recommendation allows the case to come to the board. It eventually would be settled.
But if you
Oh, I
want
see
to
what you're saying.
if you want to work that all together, let's just say a tie or pass and vote comes to the board.
You know, and, I mean, it's a procedure thing, is what we're talking about. Yeah, I mean, really, you've been told me what I need to vote. I'll have to vote yes. If it's a tie, I'm always going to vote yes, because I'm going to make it go to the board.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Really, that's what it does.
Okay, doesn't mean it doesn't come to the board. It's a recommendation that comes to the board that the decision should be done. It doesn't stop the case.
Oh, it still has to go to the board.
It still has to come.
It has to. It's that.
Right, and get the vote. You know, you still want to vote.
I still like to vote. See, that's the opposite of what you, the first
Okay,
example. Yeah, I know you're
I'm
playing
just trying to move it along, because I want to be clear, if you've got a case that somebody has paid money to go through a process, you can't stop it at the planning commission. It's got to move to the planning commission. But
to the board.
okay, yes, excuse me, I'm sorry, to the board, but at a deadlock, I guess it could be reported as a deadlock, but it can move. But
So we'll say,
How many deadlocks have you had?
I don't think any. I don't think I have. It's always, some way it always comes out. And a lot of that's.
And if we don't like it, we can amend it back to the planning commission. I've done that.
You can.
That's what
Okay,
you've done
so,
Yeah.
so the representative, it doesn't always have to be District 1. The next chairman can say, hey, Steve, you know, I'm done with you on the planning commission or whatever, and I put somebody else. And I said, that's fine, because that's they had to send whoever. So what we could do is then let us vote, but the planning commission on the report, they need no 5-4 vote. It was a deadline, and I was you were the time, whoever's representing that. And that tells the board, that was pretty, what I don't want to prevent, I'm trying to agree with you. Citizen puts in, pays $200 some to get a special exception. And that's why I can't wrap it up. And then it's deadline. So it didn't pass. The board, the planning commission did not recommend, because it didn't pass. However, it still has to go to the board, knowing that it did not pass. So what difference does it make? That's what I'm kind of.
It really doesn't make any difference.
That's what I said, I wouldn't vote. You don't want to vote on road, just let the information come from us, as what Mr. Paul was saying. We get what their vote was. We just get their vote, and basically that keeps you out of, because like I said, it could still come to them.
But if you want to stay where you are
With that.
with two, you're there.
Okay.
You've dropped it down three people, you lowered your quorum, and you still have your board representation sitting in.
Okay. All right, that's good. And then you won't check with Ms. Lewis and see if she's done. So, but we need to have it written somewhere in our procedures for the planning commission. This is, I don't know where that goes. Would it go with
Greg's working on
Yeah, so he would put that in there, that it would be, this, and then the representative of the board would not vote. Non-voting member. Okay, you stated, okay. All right, that was a little bit on the thing. I mentioned that it was gonna be about an hour, that you gonna take, everybody wanna hit the restroom and get it, we'll keep mulling through. All right, okay. All right, and while I got this, the citizens got any questions or clarification? I don't mind taking this one. Okay. We'll be here after. All right, so, all right, let's get back on the agenda. All right, taxation of solar.
This is just an informational item, to let you all know. Okay, so I put in here, section of minutes. It's an ordinance that the county adopted, back in, 2020. That waived off for a couple of years solar energy panels being used on houses and agricultural facilities. Or it looks at being used for, okay, because that's where the difference is going to be. So right now, people with solar panels on their houses, on their agricultural barns, or out freestanding in their yards are not paying taxes on that pursuant to this ordinance. Okay? The General Assembly passed a law that says if you're using solar panels on your house or on your agricultural building, you don't have to pay taxes. So, Nottoway County was a little bit ahead of the curve. The difference is the state law did not extend to freestanding panels. So if someone has freestanding panels in the backyard, they will be taxed starting December 6th, 2023. So there's an issue here for you all to decide whether it's going to have to council, and they said you can do more than what you're permitted in this case, but not less. So you can't take away the tax exemption that the state has granted when this expires. So when this expires, the exemption will continue if it's actually on the roof of the house, the barn, whatever. But if it's sitting out back, this exemption stops and the state exemption does not kick in. Now you can exempt your wish according to I just want to let you all know that that's an issue.
All right, I'll call it a debate. Let's have a roundtable discussion on this thing. So let's talk about the purpose. So I'm Jane Doe, and I put the solar panel on my roof because it's facing the sun and it gets sun better there. And we can't tax that.
You chose not to tax it, and when this expires, it cannot be taxed.
But my neighbor comes along and they don't want to mess their roof up, but they're still the same purpose, is to use solar, heat that house, and do electricity. And we have the power to tax them because it's not touching the house. So that just don't sound right.
I've heard Mr. McRoberts use the phrase, the wisdom of the General Assembly. So that's the wisdom of the General Assembly.
I don't know how you taxing people with this anyway, simply because they incurred this outrageous cost to try to save the bills, and they take them every tax year.
And so what did we do? Helen, what did you sign? So we voted for what now?
All right.
We put an ordinance out.
You passed an ordinance that exempted solar panels serving, let me put it that way, serving houses, agricultural buildings. Whether it was on the building or in the backyard. Okay.
So if we make no change, we not taxing the.
You have a sunset. You have a sunset provision. The exemption expires December 6, 2023. So what happens on December 6, 2023, without any board action, this goes away. But the state has come in and said, you can't tax it if it's on the house or.
You can if it's in the
You
yard.
can't.
What is it in the yard? You
You
can't,
You can.
you cannot.
You
You
can't tax,
can.
tax.
you can't tax it through the state law. So this could expire. And you've got.
Got it in the
Yeah.
yard.
In the front
Got
yard,
it in the yard.
yes. Several people do.
Just let you know, there's been a change out there in.
Who would put it, knowing this law, who would put it on their house? Because at one time I would consider that, but I wouldn't put mine on top of my house. But who would put one on top of a house now, knowing what this law is? Put it out in the yard.
No. You got it back.
I got it backwards, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
You got it back.
You would put it.
Right.
Yes.
See,
But you have people that in Nottoway that have them in their yard. And they've had them for a while,
Under this ordinance, you all exempt it. You didn't, under this ordinance, you don't care for.
So what we have to do is we keep it, we have to say that the ones in the yard are exempt.
If that's what y'all want to do, yes.
I mean, well,
We could exempt it for, I believe, for a certain amount of time to revisit. But I think when we first brought this up, we were discussing whether or not we were going to do it 3 to 5 years. We decided for 3 years. But if they take no action, there's nobody taxed either, right?
If you take no action, the people who have it, if you take no action and this expires, the people who have it on their roof of their house or their agricultural building are not taxed under state law. People who have it out in their yard, if they have an array in their yard, they will be taxed
they'll be taxed
But by who?
by us.
by us.
I guess because of that
We would-
that exemption, this exemption will expire. So if we don't put an exemption on something that minutes.
Well, the reason why I'm saying that is because we had never worked up on it. If I recall correctly, Ms. Hudson was looking into it, was searching around as far as the value of each panel and all that. So we didn't have anything in place to tax if I remember correctly. That's the reason why I'm asking to take no action. If we won't tax it before we put the exemption in place, there's not. Do we have anything on the books to tax?
I don't know if you were taxed or not, if you do have a tax. Okay, that's predating me. I'm just saying, you all did this, predates me. It covered everything. You have a sunset provision on here. which
Right,
means
I get that.
It all goes away. The state has stepped in and said, everything can be taxed. Nothing can be taxed that's on the bill.
Right, I get it.
Okay.
Once they came that law, I mean, like, something must have happened. The state always makes laws because something happened. They just don't say, you know what, let's change this, I mean, something happened.
Because you think about it, you have a panel standing in your yard, that's considered like another building, tax each.
Oh, another structure.
It's another structure, that's what they consider, that's another structure.
That's the way, that's the addition to the structure.
Right.
I was just trying to figure out how to simplify this. If we won't, if we didn't have it laid out to tax people with somewhat, irregardless whether it was on or off the building, even when this expires, if we won't tax it before this,
To not tax.
Well, what do you, I think, yeah, what I think I know what you're saying is, we take no action, we have the ability to tax them, but we don't.
I don't
We
think,
won't tax.
I don't think nothing's in place to tax it to solve it. That's what I'm saying.
Mhm.
Is that correct?
Well, here's what I'm learning. Do we always put the exemption will expire on a certain date? Do we always?
Y'all did that, if you remember, because you didn't want it to just go
Away.
on. You wanted it revisited during your term so that it didn't just forgotten.
Oh, my, I think that I made that motion, I think when I made the motion, it was like up to 5 years. And I said, well, basically what I want to do, and I believe Paul mentioned something about maybe we should do this in 3 years, so that's where it went back. I think the original motion was basically, once we got to discussion, backed up to 3 years.
Because we knew solar was coming and
Yeah,
local laws
that's
and
right.
stuff changed. Okay, gotcha. Okay, yeah, and I'm looking at the dates. That makes sense to me.
So if we want tax and solar unless somebody puts something in place to tax the freestanding solar, there's nothing to do, but at the same time, is it simpler to either worry about that or someone just put an exemption back in place?
If we put an exemption back in place, does that go? Maybe that's what it's, let's see what it say too. Well,
The ones with a freestanding solar
they're
panel.
gonna say,
They're gonna
they're gonna be against it.
And I know.
That's a given.
Yeah, I know.
Well, before, all right, if we go to an ordinance with that though,
Yeah.
we don't have to have, I think we should have some sort of information like, okay, the ordinance is preventing what, okay? Does that mean the commissioner needs to come up with value and a tax rate? You see what I'm saying? There's a lot more work, I think. If we're not taxing, it's not going to. It's just to work out.
Yeah, what you're saying is, if we do nothing, so it falls off, we just put a tax anyway, so what's the big deal? Unless somebody comes up and says, hey, you should be taxing him because the law says, then we will have to relive it in, but, you know. You see what I'm saying? That didn't make sense.
You know, it did.
It sounds like you're
Does
saying.
anyone know exactly how many we have in the
In the county.
freestanding? Now we have.
I don't know.
Tower in south side behind the field. There's some standing back there. I don't know if they're walking that's a house. That's cool. If you drive out of Crew, past Southside Electric, the big tower, and then go over, there's a handful of freestanding. That's one I'm aware of. Right on top of this.
There's a
It's
freestanding.
a structure. Yeah, Helen, they made a good point, that structure, but I don't want that thing connected to my house, because if you gotta replace your roof, when you have to take it off.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, damn.
Yeah, I mean, it makes a hole, right?
Right.
Makes a hole.
Can also go back on the street.
Yeah.
I sometimes wonder if people are actually calculating their snow load when they put those on there.
Because they wait for
What?
Because they didn't have a good roof before we put it on.
Yeah, but you're not consider doing anything. I mean,
I doubt whether they are.
to me, it's discouraging if anybody wants to put coal out there.
Yeah.
You're discouraging them. That's what-
They're trying to save money when we charge them. So we already charge, and it doesn't affect the $3 charge we do on dumpster side of it, the landfill. That doesn't affect that at all.
Because every house when we charge, they got a meter anyway.
That's right. And so is more to bring that price. Yeah, I think we tax them one time for electricity, don't tax them twice. You would, technically, that's the way we technically don't tax it. All right, what do y'all want to do? I mean, I think this never happened, and then trying to get somebody to raise the tape. What do you call it? I don't want nobody coming and filling the courtroom there, and I think we get them taxes. What do we need to do?
And like I said, I think if we put ordinance, then we're gonna have to get certain information available for people to make a decision whether or not it would be for or against the ordinance. And I think you're putting a lot of extra work on the commissioner's office and staff here. If there's,
Let that.
What about the three people?
There's nothing in place.
There's nothing in place.
Well, but the point what Ted is making, excuse me, is that he's saying that this is dead, this is non and void now, come December. Which, all right,
Which means,
which means what?
under state law, you don't tax them on the house, you don't tax them on the agricultural building, you tax them on the precinct.
are you saying that we must or we can? Okay, well then we just.
That's the information.
I got you, must, shall,
Yeah,
should, could,
Mhm.
and
But
would was
what I've said, talked to the council is, you can do an ordinance that extends this forever. You're not going, you're meeting the state requirement in your state requirement and providing the tax relief. You can do that. That's what the council said. In other words, you can do it, but you need an ordinance, or an ordinance that basically strikes this exemption will expire on December 6, 2023.
all right, and So, but that has to go back to public hearing.
Yeah, we have to go back to public hearing.
All right, so we don't have to put any work on y'all staff or on Christie staff. And if we stay forever, another board, 20 years from down the road, and there's 1,000 freestanding locations, and they decide to tax, they can go back and change that. Things. All right.
Be fine.
All right, so proceed with an ordinance that strikes this exemption will expire. And basically.
I would just say,
Another board can do anything.
That's right.
We can make it done.
as long as they put that to work, all of it,
I think that's fine.
But just for the, kicks and grins of it, I sure would like to know is what does the state law, can we get a copy, put that in a full package to, as informational items, I'd just like to see
Okay.
if it's, I expect that it's not a must. I always like, when the state comes up with law, it's always a purpose, and I always want to know what the intended purpose is. Because there's a reason why somebody might say, you know what, y'all didn't think about this, and I don't agree with that.
let the state run.
I was thinking, I can't help it.
All right, is it all right with the board if we've got time on this one, can we push this one back a couple of months?
Oh, yeah.
You're not looking to see it next week.
No, but we can put it back on the agenda, it can be just in the work session, right?
To look at it.
Look at it. All right, G. I forgot why that's that.
Because you told me to.
Okay. Yeah, I got it. So so I've asked Mr. Page, to come to the meeting, next work session. And Mr. Green, I'm gonna ask you to speak freely if you don't mind, but, this is, okay, so this goes back to process. What did happen? And Mr. Costume, board needs to know what may have happened or could have happened. I don't have a clue. From what I gather, that there was an animal that was sponsored, put in the Nottoway County Animal Shelter. I had a little bit of conversation with Helen about this too. All right. So that, and I guess in a sense, it wasn't costing the taxpayers anything. So I don't know when they sponsor, I don't know how much they paid. I don't know how much they paid for the animal to feed in the shelter. So if somebody says, hey, don't euthanize the animal, I'm gonna pay for it. But they didn't pay me rent. They just paid to take care of the animal. All right. Let's say something happens in Blackstone. A person gets bit, and just so happened at the time, 4 soft-hearted people had 4 sponsors, and now there's no room at the end. Okay, you see what I'm getting at? And then it's time, somebody gets bit, and they said, we gotta get that dog off the street. Blackstone said, sorry, man, we ain't got no room at our place because we got people sponsors now. We ain't gonna tell him that, but that's what's happening. So my question to you, Mr. Costa, is it true? Did an animal stay longer than what our ordinance recommends?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't think the board.
We don't have an ordinance recommend.
They have the state mandatory hold.
Okay.
Which vary depending on if it's a stray, no indication it's ever been owned, like a chip or something like that. We've got one right now that's chipped and the person will not come and pick it up. So you kind of know who the owner is and trying to get it back together. So you got strays, you got strays that you think you can identify. Then you got court holds. And court holds are in cases like animal abuse, animal neglect, where the animal is in itself being treated, being cared for, but it is still evidence and it's still property. Then the court may decide to give that property back to the owner or turn it back over to the county. And it becomes county property. But the state is the ones that sets the rules on how long you can hold. There was one animal that in my opinion, an excessive hold. What I'd like to do is have a work session where the animal control officer can come in and walk you through what the different holds are. And it's, okay, if it's a 4 hold, it's up to the judge. And we've had animals held 3, 4, 5 months on holds. If it's a stray, we've got this much. And this is how we move and how they work to move them out. And what I'm recommending, and I'm very sure in the draft of this chair, what I'm recommending is you all set a policy that encourages or discourages long holds. Okay. However, there is also an issue. It's very much a catch-22 here, folks. I'm not taking sides. I'm just giving you information. Get an animal. It's been held for a long time. It's a hybrid animal. It's not aged. It's not sick. It's not injured. A vet will not put it down. A vet will not put it down because it's a viable animal. Have it sick, injured.
So we would have to hold that animal forever and ever after the state.
Until somebody comes along and either adopts it, fosters it, or you get it into a rescue group. And
I thought we were pretty consistently, and I misunderstood, the viable animals being sent to rescue group.
this one, for some reason, didn't get moved out. And maybe it was because it was being sponsored. So maybe that's a policy consideration, is that we don't sponsor, we don't allow sponsors.
We're going, all right, so, and I don't want to come across, not caring about animals. That's not in my DNA. But, I don't want to be in a situation where we have a vicious animal that's on our streets, because we are required to make sure that the public is safe. And we don't have any room because we are, it should have been not that animal shelter. Okay. And let's just say we want to build a nice animal shelter. But I think that's part of that. That might be almost the easy part. The hard part now is going to be, well, how are you going to make sure animals are in and out? I mean, you want them to, and what I can't figure out is the part about the vet. I thought I didn't always take a vet to euthanize an animal, or can you send somebody to school to get the qualification to euthanize an animal?
You can.
Okay.
Absolutely, you can.
Okay.
And let me ask this, so you're talking about a personal preference on that? If I'm not putting down viable animals, has a state law that doesn't allow them to put down?
My understanding was talking to Sheila is it's the vets. It's the vets determining.
Okay, so we just need to call another vet.
If you can find one that'll, I know, because they have to document why they put the animal down.
Well, that would be the county's request, the county's order.
So let me
Well,
ask.
state law, actually.
This is all discussion. Nobody's making the decisions tonight. I just want y'all to be aware that building an animal shelter is one part. We're not done.
All right.
Okay, we're not done. So, what if you say, okay, you can, the animal can stay there and you can sponsor it up to this many days. But after this many days, it's $10 a day, $20 a day. I'm asking a question. But that still might not, all I'm trying to do is make a movement. That still might not help. If somebody can afford it, they say, yeah, I'll pay $20 a day. You know what I mean? I don't do what now?
That's the fish.
It's not gonna fix the problem.
No.
Okay. I'm just trying to be more friendly. But I can't let it should, if you're paying taxes and you in an animal right beside you is fishes, you have the right to call. We should do something. You with me, Sherman? I mean, that's the problem.
Can we go back to
Okay.
So you can do you get staff that's trained up to do using of animals. They no longer use gas. They were doing gas back in even the 1990s. Well, and what happened was that they were finding that some animals were getting knocked out, but they weren't being put down completely. So they didn't have animals come back up. So that's kind of a mistreatment of animals issue.
Right.
The other is injection, and with that, and you're dealing with regulated. So you have really you deal with drugs, and so you have to have two people trained, two people present when the drugs are administered, and you got to take the section of drugs. You got to have your license to hold the drugs. You got to get your license to hold the drugs. There's liability insurance issue there because God forbid somebody gets stuck in a deal that's got some in it. So there's you got to deal with drugs before you got to get the drugs in and use them before they expire. There's a lot.
Yeah, and I'm not saying go that way. I hate it. In fact, we went away from that. I think we did that, and we tried to get away. And this is one of those issues, that some people believe in capital punishment, some people don't believe in capital punishment. I mean, let's be fair about it. We're talking about human beings. All right, so that's one part of it. Okay, I'll give you another thing, another example. This is what Mr. Page. So what I guess is what I guess I am working to. I think we ought to have our next work session. Page. I think some ordinances we tried to pass them, but it didn't pass. Mr. Green, is that a fair statement? You may, yes, sir.
So we had a lengthy meeting. We don't have one. Okay. Trying to move us towards that.
Okay.
And we had a lot of speakers, and I didn't detect any harmony amongst my group at all. And I continued that meeting until Wednesday the 15th.
Okay.
So at that time, there's three issues that I heard. The double taxing on license. We spoke with the shelters. Well, if we can get these dogs collared and tagged, we get them back to their owners. So if the county, maybe the county would enforce their law and make sure that, and I'm guessing we're at 10% of animals are registered.
Right, I got you.
I'll be getting more in mine. I have two inside dogs. It's just completely slipped my mind. I just need
we
get up there and do it.
Ms. Shackleton said the same thing the other day, and I think we've all done that. It wasn't done on purpose. It was just one of the things like, well, that dog stays in the house. It's not out there. So, but I get it.
The council doesn't have an appetite for that. I don't speak it for them.
No.
It was discussed. The tethering laws that the state too much big problems for people, and they don't. So what you're speaking of tonight, Mr. Chairman, is like a later date. I would much rather have an ordinance that I have passed. Then we speak up.
I got you.
And we can always go back, and we've had the public hearing. We've had a public hearing with a very comprehensive animal code. We, as y'all know, we can do less.
Right.
So more is in there. More was in that ordinance.
I got you.
So we can do less without a public hearing, without having to do all that. So if that's agreeable, then Mr. Page come back when he has some support from the council, because I don't really know where to go with that.
Yeah, I get you. Ms. Shays, you want to say
I
something?
sat on the committee for town council and crew that created the ordinances for the town crew. Committee. I don't know whether they've been accepted or not, because I'm no longer on the council, but I'm just telling you, and I could give you guys a copy of.
Yeah, that would be very helpful. That give us some. Because we don't want to do anything contradictory to town.
Well, you really are, what I learned being on the committee is you really kind of bound by what the state does. The state is really the dictator in this.
Okay.
So we get our rules or our ordinances around what the state. Okay, so you really, and then the other thing you have to figure as far as holding dogs for a Commonwealth attorney will not prosecute an owner if their dog has bit somebody only once. She has decided to interpret the law as they have to be vicious twice. So you need to know that's what's going on.
So that has nothing to do with she doesn't have enough people. That's just the way she interprets it. Is that the way you understand it?
Yeah, yeah. I have my personal opinion, which I won't share, but I'm just saying that causes an additional problem with these vicious animals, and we have surely had fair share of them the last few months.
I got you. Ms. Simmons, tell them about what you and I talked about tags, you know,
Oh, yeah, we talked about back in the day when I was a little kid and stuff, and you had dogs, you always had your collar and your tag on the dog. If you didn't, animal control would come around and there was no collar, no tag, they were gonna pick that animal up. Or either you had to have proof that you paid for your tag for that period of time. And if you didn't have proof, the animal was gone, they were gonna take it. That's what used to happen back in the day.
Right.
But I don't know what happens now. I would love for the animal control to come in and tell us what happened. I
Yeah.
don't know.
So y'all okay with bringing her in and then, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would get a copy.
Mr. Chair,
Yeah.
there's two items I want to discuss. Number one, I either heard it from our discussions or Mr. Costin, but I think we were gonna try to do 1.5 and 5 to 10. So our ordinance is, were complete between the two of us and they augmented each other.
Right.
So that's what we're trying to get to.
I got you.
Actually, I don't know if you were aware, I sent Costin an email that I received today from Mayor Mr. He had offered to get the towns together. He would, and make sure we're doing what y'all are speaking of, you know, get all the town, everybody singing on the same sheet.
Yeah.
So, you know, he's skilled at that kind of thing. So.
Well, and then I guess the intent of it is, all right, so let's look back. So two things we got to be aware of and hold you, because you made a good comment on that too, John. The intent of the tags is to show, really, is to show the other people that dog's been vaccinated and does not have rabies. Is that what say the intent?
Well, you do have to prove rabies current vaccination.
Current
In order to
vaccination.
get it does a lot. It identifies the owner with the number, the dog running loose. It also, it's visual to any law enforcement.
Right. And so,
And they used to have clinics here at the courthouse where they used to give, they still do, where they would vaccinate and you could get your tags. And I think the tags used to be a different color, depending on. Okay.
Well, you know, another thing that's Chairman, to us, and our problem, we don't have anywhere to put the dog.
Right.
If the dog's collar and tag, I can't. You know, instead of
right,
bringing
yeah,
it
yeah,
up.
I say you're right. You know who it is, yeah.
Yeah, well, you know, I'm not so much worried about collecting a fine as I am getting the pet over the parents and not having to carry it to the animal shelter, which would be a limited space. So that's.
Just quickly, I have family that is in this situation in Rockbridge that's in law enforcement and chip dogs pick up. If owners do not pick up chip dogs in this county, and this is Rockbridge County, then they are no longer able to license a pet.
Okay.
So if you give up an animal that chipped and you won't take ownership of it again, you cannot legally own another animal via a
Right,
license.
because things like me, why were you responsible enough that you abandoned the animal?
You abandoned it.
Right.
And if this, you should not be able to own a dog via.
The downfall to taking the dog home is that you have owner, it helps develop irresponsible owners. They don't worry about it.
Yeah.
If you're always gonna bring the dog home, then that's an easy abuse of the system.
And I think the third or fifth is a class 2 misdemeanor. That's a pretty good.
So,
Okay, well, right, or that you pick up the dog.
All those fees are put.
so I'm gonna be devil's advocate, not devil. So what we're dealing with here is, and we're not solving this tonight, we'll try to figure it out. If y'all want to keep talking, if you don't mind. So what we're trying to figure out here tonight is, that we need to be educated. I think with Simmons and Mr. Rourke and everybody say, we'll come to conclusion. This wouldn't be counted. When you bring people close together with their animals, you bring problems together. Okay, so that's just the way life is. All right. I'm okay right now with, I get what the mayor is saying, Mr. Green. I get it. You got that collar on it, see who it is, da, da, da. The problem we have is we're making rules, we have to make rules and laws and ordinances for the irresponsible person, okay? Now, we get out in the rural area, you got deer hunters and they got dog and it's a lot of them, and they're very responsible. You see what I'm saying? They go by to kill them, they gonna stick the tag on the, so we make to take baby steps in the storm. So we don't want to make changes where we're gonna have a courtroom of people and saying, and then it kills everything. You see what I'm saying? I think we start with the towns first with our ordinances, because that's where the majority of people are, and your animals that are close together. I'm just saying it that way. And then we'll take a look at later, maybe if we need to expand that. But I think I thought that was a good starting place. This is what Cheryl, that you had mentioned before. It's like you have the animals, you build an animal shelter, but all the processes that go with it is what we need to work on. That's what I mean by that do list to do that. You know? So good start, Dean. And thank you, Mr. Green. Mr. Green, Matt Green, I apologize. Are you saying maybe hold out from Mr. Page to ask him to come here until you guys get y'all's first? Yeah, that way we're not getting ahead of the.
Right, I will make him.
So our first presentation will be from my animal control officer. Okay.
From each town.
Yeah, okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hopefully, I know this on.
Okay.
But if not, I turn around and go
Okay.
so no. 20th. I should have noticed, or it's been put in the trash can, burned on fire.
I get you. You gonna say something?
For the, animal control, issue. I'm sure we have a copy of all the state ordinances.
Got the copy of the state code. I'll reach out to Rockbridge and see if I can get their ordinance. Because we've got that situation right now.
Next work session then would be the 13th. Y'all still okay with 6:30?
Yeah.
We would. 13th. Right?
That's Monday.
Monday.
No, he's
No, I'm talking next month. Next week. No, I'm sorry. The next, I don't know,
Because we've got
monthly routine work session.
we have a tentative public hearing for the budget on that day.
I think that was 7. I think you're going to get.
Okay.
We'll cover all that Monday night.
Okay, so April the 13th at 6:30.
And that will be about one of the presentations will be on the main topic of that will be animal control.
Yeah,
If we could,
Susan said,
Mr. Chair, we started having another work session in advance of the April meeting. So, we could do a the emergency operations plan. And some
Okay.
training.
Okay.
I think we can find a date in early April.
Yeah, I mean, do you think too much on that one night, if we do the animal and then that, is that too much?
That's probably too much.
Okay, yeah. Let's bring it to the board Thursday night and let's talk about it in public.
Okay.
Anyway,
We do that.
I think every meeting, I'll say about budget. So April 13th, March 13th is our budget meeting, which are we back in here, 7:00? Yeah. Okay, 7:00, okay. All right, bottom of the agenda, I do want to stay focused. We should have put, on next time, put H. Any round table, discussions of the board, we need to be concerned about. No one that I'd like to give the floor to Ms. Shepherd first is for, treasury. Any comments on that? Anyway.
Just to be a priority for this one, we're looking at over 90 days, the treasurer, and as I understand, the deputy treasurer also leaving.
oh,
Yeah. Yeah, so no one in that office. And I want to say I had a good conversation with Ms. Kingery about some of the things that with that position, things like that. But one thing that does bother me, there's a lot of things. Here's one thing about it is that people are getting more angry and they're not, it's not civilized and it's not a real safe place where she's located. Or that her team, just say that whole team. You're not going, if you go to go through the. You gotta go through. You're not gonna have mask for so long. They don't do something. And it's not her fault. It's not their fault.
This is where the facilities started. We were in her office and her other offices. With that kind of protection.
Right.
But the way we are not scattered out is very difficult.
Right.
But
Yeah, I
we
know.
need that. We need that. Time, I know one day said I was hoarding money, but I wasn't hoarding money. We were trying to hoard money. We were trying to think ahead because we wanted to need to bring the registrar back. There's a whole lot of things we need to do here. And this is what we're trying to do is get the money together. And we could borrow money to get these things done.
Did you and I talked about, I think, if at all possible, somebody needs to get in here ahead of the treasurer leaving, just time in the office. I don't know, my understanding from today, and Mr. Judge, he's looking to make the appointment of an interim.
Yeah, so I've asked, you got something to talk about, because I have to ask Mr. Costin to reach out, we both asked Mr. Costin to reach out to, Jane Brown, to see so what have you found out?
The board members have access to your. Yes. So I sent Ms. Brown, after talking with her this morning, I sent the following email. Discussed earlier today, the chairman of the board will have any concerns with retirement bill in my district in our county. Can you obtain any information from the chief judge on when and how he intends to appoint an interim treasurer and share that information with me for sharing with the board? The timing issue is of importance as we have already started preliminary work on our audit for FY23, and that is a very intense process into September. It would be helpful if the interim was named as early as possible and had the opportunity to brief at this time, as well as county auditors and financial staff. And sit down at 35, I probably talked with her about an hour before. Judge Teefy called me today, and I said this before 5:13. He called me today. Judge Teefy called me in response to the blow just now. They live, there is nothing in code that sets out the process for how an interim appointment is done. He is making inquiries into seeking someone who is qualified to perform the duties of the job and willing to serve as an interim appointee.
He will do that.
He is making inquiries.
If you put that on the agenda Thursday night, when you read that, as far as your report, would you mind doing? Okay. Just to make sure that that's open. Okay. All right. And that overlap happens because you can't have one person walking out your door and another person walking and expect that they know it's needed. All right. Anything else? Call that up to me before. Very important. Thank you for keeping on the radar. Thank you. How about you, Mr. Bond? Anything that you? You got anything? The only thing I have is just to be, so I'm just kind of doing behind the scenes, whatever. I'm not doing anything behind the scenes. I'll be transparent. I'm planning to set up a meeting with the mayor has reached out to me again and Green about school buildings. And so I've asked, I'm gonna ask the chairman of the school board and the vice chair, and the vice chair of this board, Mr. Mayor Green and Philip and Nash to meet on this side to see what their vision or what their thoughts are, or what they want to do. I think that the new chairman, especially of the school board, needs to see it. I don't think you might not know that kind of thing. And I've been there before, so I have no idea. But I like to walk with you guys and we talk about, and so they can see. And correct me if I'm wrong. The first step is for school has to surplus the buildings and turn them back over to us. Is that correct? Well,
Let me say something. You don't need to just look at it. You need to look at the complex. At the complex. And I'd be happy to meet anyone at the complex. Drive around the back of the complex. You will not find enough space to house and use any kind, whether it's fire, or somebody burn the school down, or whatever.
Right.
Now, say for example, they have an emergency. If you surplus the land, it's gone. It's gone forever. Where would you put the kids? You can't keep them out of school forever.
Right.
Brunswick had a situation, I'm not talking about Brunswick, because I have a lot of very good friends over at Brunswick. Brunswick had a fire, 10 kids were out, maybe 6 months, I believe. No school. We had a fire in Blackstone now, and we come out here out 5 days.
Right.
Because we worked night and day. Where would you put trailers? Where would you put these?
Okay.
This is why you can't. If
Well,
you give that
you
land
asked
away,
what-
if you give that land away, then put it where you gonna put
Well,
it.
Yes.
Yeah, yes, ma'am.
Mr. Van Robeck told me that the plan would be to have pads in place, placement of trailers. If
You need water, sewer, electricity, ready to go.
I think the way Town of Blackstone is looking at it, all the time, they're
I understand, but that's not their responsibility. The school board doesn't have any money. The school board is gonna come to this board. We're
first of all,
gonna be the ones that's gonna have to put the money up for the trailers.
But if the town is willing to have the water and sewer in place, the town has to find the trailers as a place to put them.
well, so let's ask, we want questions. Something we have now that we didn't have. We have a gentleman called Mr. Buddy Hack. He's still in here. So would it make you or rest? Mr. Hyde would tell us, okay, if we had a fire, these are the places you can put trailers or to be an emergency repair and be part of our EOP. Is that possible?
Well, it's not something specifically designed for EOP, but what you do is we call resources. Basically, when you have modular units aren't the nicest thing, but then we get into a pandemic where everybody set up a hotspot. And so modular trailers aren't bad, and obviously I think some other counties, Louisa was a good example. Louisa went totally out, and FEMA just pretty much just rolled over the red carpet for them. It's temporary housing.
All right, let me do a little expectation control here, okay? That big level Louise first, which was a federally declared event. Okay. If you're talking about something lower end, like the building permits,
Fire.
yeah, that's not going to get a federal declaration. So let me get down the expectation that somebody else will pay for this. If under certain circumstances, you're going to be paying for it.
That's what I was gonna ask for clarification too, because if we declare an emergency locally, is there any funding that we can file in a situation like that?
Situation like that, I'm not aware of any.
But don't we pay insurance for the school?
Yes.
Right. I mean, your car burns up, you get a rental car. I mean, I can't.
You can get, you know,
Which declares something is waive off some procurement requirements related to the emergency. So if we knew where trailers were sitting and we could go get 20 trailers,
But going back to what Mr. Bond said, and I know Mr. Bond's been through the disaster. Well, if we leave it like it is, where are you gonna put the trailers now?
Yeah.
Where you gonna put them?
Don't put them on Oak Street, facing Oak Street in that area. If push comes to a shove.
I don't know, but I have to see the property to understand it.
I know Nan would want it in front of her house. See what you gonna put these trailers in front of her house. Where else are you gonna put them? If you're gonna take all the other space.
But you don't have water and sewer and pads for them, Mr.
But you have a cafeteria.
Oh my gosh, have you seen those buildings?
Yes, the one I'm talking about.
Well, all right, so, okay, and I hear Ms. Vaughn,
We have two buildings that need to be torn down. That's the building. Economically,
right,
and then you have the primary school building, which is across the street.
okay,
You had, that would have been, if they had kept it up like the contract calls for, that 12 classrooms. You had the red building we bought from Kingston Forest, that would have done an additional 4.
I got you.
But you're gonna have to think about this because Louisa lost the whole school with an earthquake, which is unheard of here.
We have a fully functional school in Burkeville.
That's 6 classrooms or 7 at the most.
Yes.
Might I have the opportunity to discuss with my council if they would be agreeable? Put it in a pot for an indefinite amount of time, be paid wholeheartedly. Because there are partners here, you know. So I don't want to get on my council. And let's don't let this be like, remove this blight.
Right,
Okay, and have an opportunity, if we do need an emergency place, that it's set, it's basically you bring the truck, my crews will hook it up.
So, and I don't want to bog down, but I still want us to, the chairman of the school board, vice chairman, and the whole school board needs to know what they have down in Blackstone. Okay, they need to see. I think we need to, I mean, all knows what's down there, but they need to know. They're the
And
ones
it
who
was
know.
all over the whole county.
Right,
That's
right,
why I say to John, 7 classrooms.
right. All right, so, anyway, I want y'all to know what I was doing. And so, and I appreciate the man. I know he's not speaking for the council. I understand.
Let me say one thing. Ultimately, the priority responsibility of those schools lie with us.
Understand that.
We need to understand that.
Right. But I have seen disasters happen that people didn't have any land. Counties didn't have any land. But for some reason, when a disaster happens, every man, woman, and child sticks together and they make something happen. And I believe our citizens can do the exact same thing, whether we own an acre or no acres. I believe in the people of Nottoway County. I really do. We have to
And they
believe.
did come, and they did. They did exactly what you're saying.
Right.
They did exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, that's shocking. That's right. Okay.
But no decisions are going to be made out there without the vote. Y'all, I want to know that. That's just a discussion. And so we can be educated and see what's happening. That's all.
And we're ready for that. We've got the maps and drawings and everything.
All right, good stuff. Anybody in more round table? I'm entertaining a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All right, got a second properly. Any further discussion? All in favor, stand up and let's go home. Yeah, you have to be careful. Somebody sees you. I know you gotta be careful. You're not speaking to little kids. And I do that too with the phone. Sometimes I start running off the phone. I was like, wait a minute, oh, I see how you want to work. Okay. That's right.
Oh, I love it.